Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kendra if you haven't been here before. It is actually December 5th. I'm really late because this is my November wrap up. Hopefully I'll get this up within the next couple of days, but this last week and a half has just been so freaking busy that I haven't even been able to sit down and film this. But yes, as I was saying, this is my November wrap up. These are all the books I read in November if you're keen to see my thoughts and my feelings, my emotions with these books, and just keep on watching. But if you are new here, I post book videos and beauty videos, and I'd really love to have you guys join the family. Oh, also some vlogs, and I'm just trying to get back into reading vlogs, but it'll be like more of a mix of like normal vlogs too, as well as reading vlogs. But yeah, I'd love to have you join the family. Also, if you want to check out my social medias, it's at Kendra Cus on my Twitter and Instagram. I'm pretty active on there as well, so let's be friends there as well. Oh, also I just started a bookstagram, so that's fun. And it's gonna look a little bit like this. I only have 3 photos at this moment that I'm talking to you guys, so if you want to go follow along with like more bookstagrammy stuff, then that's the place to do it. It's at Kendra Cus Reads. All right, without further ado, let's get right on into it. I have a cold. Like if you can hear it, you know, I'm sorry. I can't really do anything about it other than take Dayquil, which I've been doing, and it's not working too much. So hopefully I kick it soon. But let's just jump right on into things. This month kind of just felt like a big blur. I didn't get as much done, I feel like, as I normally do, because I had no time, and it was just like, honestly, like we went to New York at the beginning of the month, and it was just such a blur, like everything just, anyways. So I started this month out with a bang. So I don't know if you guys have watched any of our Overhyped Book Club live shows. We always have them saved on Michelle's channel, so if you ever want to, you should definitely go watch them. But our very first, I think it was our very first book pick, it was like back in July or August, we read Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan, and I know the book is kind of like a little controversial when it comes to like book Twitter and booktube and stuff like that. I loved it. The first 100 pages, I was definitely unsure of how I was going to feel, but I adored the book. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars because I was being really nitpicky. And we were all talking on our Twitter group we have of us 4, and we were talking about how much we loved it and how we were all going to submit requests for an arc, so that because because it kind of ends on a cliffhanger. And I got accepted for an arc, and the publisher like emailed me. I really was hoping to get a physical copy of the arc because they're so pretty, and they come with like a dust jacket kind of thing, even though they're paperbacks. But I only got the e-arc, which is fine because I still loved it anyways. And so thanks to Macmillan Publishing for allowing me to have that. I'm more than happy to give my review of this book because I loved it. Okay, I loved every minute of Ruthless Gods. I obviously cannot say too much about the plot because it'll give away the first book. But if you don't know anything about Wicked Saints, it's basically about this girl named Nadia who is a cleric and can speak to the gods. And there are 2 warring countries, and she comes from Kalyazin, I believe, and then the other one is Trinavia. Trinavia, and she can talk to all the gods, and Kalyazin has a different belief system than Trinavia, and Kalyazin believes in all these gods, whereas Trinavia is blood magic, and they like don't believe in the gods, and they just have their own cool magic system. It's kind of dark, and it's like there's a lot of trigger warnings in it, but they have to like cut and use their own blood and then create all these magic things, magic spells and stuff, whatever. I'm making it sound really lame now, but it's not. It's really cool. Nadia can talk to all the gods, but Trinavia attacks Nadia, and she has to flee, and she ends up running into somebody named, the correct pronunciation of his name is Malakiaj, but I really don't like that. I think it's really ugly, so I call him Malakiez, but I know a lot of people reading it just call him Mal, because it's kind of a ridiculous name. And that's the one thing I always hear about these books, and the first one is that people are just so sick of the crazy names. But anyways, I digress. I loved Ruthless Gods. It picks up 3 months after the first one ends, and if you don't know anything about the way it ends, it's a cliffhanger. I'm not going to get into it for spoiler purposes, but it is so good. I love the ending so much. That's why we were all dying to have an arc. And it picks up 3 months after it ends, which usually I don't like when books pick up like a couple months after. I would rather have it happen sooner, but in this case it definitely made a little more sense. They kind of, all these characters go on a physical journey this time around, and it was just so brilliantly done because it was a physical journey and it was also a mental journey, all three of these characters. I think Emily A. Duncan is kind of a master at making all three of these main characters, Seraphine, Nadia, and Malachiez, have such different personalities that you never had to like wonder who was who when you were jumping perspectives. And also like they have such different personalities, but you find a way to connect to all of them. I just adored this book. It was just as dark as the first one, if not darker. There was so much more character development, especially for, honestly, for all three, not even especially, like there was so much depth in character development between all three characters. I loved it so much. And also, I am a hoe for Nadia and Malachiez. This is not a spoiler. Their romance definitely starts off in the first book. It's very obvious. And I am a hoe for that. Like, I love their romance. I love them together. And I'm in love with Malachiez. I love that darkness, you know? Also, this series has anxiety rep, which I thought was really, really, really well done. And it's not something that he gets over. It's something that he struggles with constantly. And it's portrayed decently well. I mean, personally, I don't struggle with like serious anxiety or clinical anxiety, so I can't tell you how perfect it is, but I do think it was done really well from my perspective. Let me know if you feel any way different down in the comments though. Anyways, Ruthless Gods gets 5 out of 5 stars for me. It was incredible. I know that when it comes out next April, because it doesn't come out till next April, but I know that when it does, I'm probably going to reread it because I loved it so freaking much. I loved it so much. And I want to reread it already. I miss it. The first book I read, which was on audiobook, was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is obviously a reread. I've read this before. In fact, it's one of my favorite books of all time. And I love this book with all my heart. If you don't know anything about this book, then you're probably not a big booktube watcher, because this is talked about all over booktube. But this is about a girl named Jude who is a human but grew up in the fairy world because, to make the longest story short, her older sister is her half-sister, and her older sister's dad is a fae, whereas her mom was human. So her oldest sister is half fae, half human, and then Jude is a twin with her sister named Matern. So they basically got kidnapped by her oldest sister's father and brought to the world of fae when they were like, I think 7 years old, and just raised from 7 to 17. And this book takes place when she's 17. And it is about a girl named Jude, obviously. I have said that a couple of times already. But she is just trying to fit in with the fae world. I really, really love Jude because she's very ambitious, very like shrewd, and goes after whatever she wants. She's very much a Slytherin, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. And I really, really love her because I totally just relate to that. I mean, obviously I've never been in her position, never will be, but I love how ambitious she is. I love how Slytherin-esque she is. She loves people and cares deeply for people, but she also has like her goals in mind, and literally nothing's gonna get in the way of those goals. Like, no matter what her superiors say, no matter what her peers say, like nothing. And the other thing about this book, obviously, is Carden being the cruel prince. He's kind of a bully to her, and you find out he has a much, much deeper backstory. Obviously, I can't really get into anything because it's spoilers, but it is just about this girl named Jude who's trying to navigate the fae world, who's trying to become I don't know exactly what like a knight. She's trying to become a knight for one of the princes, and just a lot of shiz goes down. But it's really, really great. Love this book so much. One of the things I love about Holly Black is she doesn't sugarcoat anything too much. It's very concise and to the point. It's still beautiful and paints a glorious picture, but there's no extra. There's nothing extra, and it's so amazing to read, and I love that. 5 out of 5 stars for my second read, obviously. So good. And then on audiobook, I did a reread of The Wicked King, and I actually read this, obviously, when it first came out at the very beginning of this year. I think it was January, probably middle of January this year, 2019. And I loved it, but I felt slightly disappointed. I still gave it 5 stars, but I was like, man, that just wasn't what The Cruel Prince was. But it's really funny because upon the reread, re-listen, whatever you want to call it, I loved this, I think, maybe more. And I think at the initial, like, I'm not going to say anything because I'm not going to give away any spoilers if you haven't read this series. But I think initially I felt like there was much more story in the first one, and this one felt more rushed. But I'm definitely a person who likes character-driven books, and this was like so character-driven, so good. Like, you really got so much development between Jude and Cardan, like, separately, their lives, their minds, their goals and dreams and stuff. You got so much separate character development, and you did get a lot of it in The Cruel Prince, but I just feel like you got way more of it this, and different relationships grow deeper, different relationships are broken. Like, there's just so much character driven stuff, like deep into the mind of these characters, that I think I loved this more, actually, which totally shocked me. So it's still a 5 out of 5 star read. Loved this book so much. Chef's kiss. And of course, I was ready for The Queen of Nothing when it came out on the 19th. Was it the 19th? I don't remember. But I walked into Barnes & Noble that morning. In fact, I actually pre-ordered it, but I was like, Barnes & Noble sucks with pre-orders. So I should have pre-ordered it from like Book Depository or like Amazon, where like they ship it to you and you might get it the day of, whereas Amazon or Barnes & Noble, they don't ship it till like the day it's released, so you don't get it for a couple of days. Long story short, I walked into Barnes & Noble at 9 a.m., got this book for myself, and read it all day. And I couldn't finish it that night because I had a bunch of things I had to do, but I finished it early the next morning. It is so good. So it was in my eyes, the perfect conclusion to the story of The Cruel Prince. I know some people really don't like it, whereas others love it. I haven't really seen a lot of people who are sitting in the middle. Like, it's a lot of like disappointment or absolute love. I actually talked with Majel about it. If you guys don't know who Majel is, we have done a lot together on BookTube, and we have the Overhyped Book Club together. But Majel was saying that just some parts of it, she was actually one of the only ones who was like on the fence. Like, she liked it, but she was slightly disappointed. But most of the people I've talked to, it's either they love it, or they're disappointed. I loved it. I think it was a perfect conclusion to this story. I think it added a lot of depth to the characters. I think one of the reasons people were disappointed is they wanted more of like a harsh ending, and you do get a lot of harsh things in this book, but overall it ended the way it was supposed to in my eyes. It was beautiful, it was sad, it was all the things, and they all came together. And also I thought it was really interesting because Holly Black kind of like leaves something open for maybe a future book with a different character's perspective, which of course I'm gonna read, but you know, I don't know. 5 out of 5 stars. I loved every minute of this. It was so enthralling. There was one point where I was like, the fuck? Like, it was so weird. And if you've read this book, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But after a couple of chapters of what, like, the consequence of what happened, or of dealing with what happened, I totally started to like vibe with it and understand it. So at the end of the book, I was in love. 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, and this is kind of funny because it took me, I want to say 4 months to read this, is Tender as the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now, when I say it took me 4 months to read it, I feel kind of like really guilty saying that because I don't think it has anything to do with the book. If you've watched my last couple of YouTube videos, like over the last 2 months, you might know that I've talked about like I hit a horrible reading slump, and I also hit just like a mental, really, really bad point. And I'm definitely getting out of it now, but I was struggling with like a little bit of depression, and just long story short, we don't need to get into it. But I started this right before that, and when I hit like the middle of the book, it was like right when that whole thing unfolded in my life, and I didn't pick up this book for months. So basically like 2 months went by, and I was like, I really need to keep reading this. And so what I did was I just went on Spark Notes and like reread the Spark Notes for the half of the book that I had already read. I should probably talk about what this book is about. But yes, I did finish this book. Overall, in the end, I finished it. I ended up doing a lot of it on like the second half of the book, a lot of it on audiobook, since I really just wanted to finish it. Like, I didn't want anything to come in the way. I just wanted to finish it because I really liked the story, but I was just in a really weird funk. So this is about, well, there's 3 books within this, and each book kind of takes on a different character's point of view. But it starts out with a girl named Rosemary Hoyt, who is an American actress, and she has come to this city in the south of France for a holiday, and she's come with her mom. I think she's like 17 or 18, and it is 1924, I believe, at the beginning of this. And she is on the beach at this hotel that's like, you know, this beach right in front of this hotel, and observes this group of people. And within these group of people, it is Dick Diver and Nicole Diver. They're this couple that seem glamorous. They live in France. They're American, but they live in France, and they've got all this money. And Rosemary kind of like falls in love with the idea of these two people, also while falling in love with Dick, the husband. And it is so intriguing because it's just this deep dive into these characters. F. Scott Fitzgerald is an incredible writer when it comes to this deep dive into these characters. I think that's why I just adore The Great Gatsby. It's my favorite book of all time, and I think it's because we just get this deep dive into Gatsby's like character, and that's what Tender is the Night does as well. Like, we get this deep dive into Rosemary, and I don't hate or love Rosemary. I mean, she's really, really young, and try to put myself in her shoes, and like, I don't feel like it's impossible for this 17-year-old to fall in love with this like 25-year-old who's married. Like, I mean, think about all the things that we fantasized about when we were 17, like regardless if it was the same situation or not. I definitely can understand almost and like put myself in her shoes. And then the second book is mainly in Dick's point of view, and then the third book is mainly in Nicole's point of view, the wife of Dick. And it just shows this like character like fall of Dick Diver, and how he goes from being the life of the party. Everyone loves him because he makes them feel wanted and loved. So like, he'll put on these like dinners at their house, and everyone just flocks to him because he makes everyone feel loved, and he gives everyone attention, and he's just this hot shot, but he's really cool about it. And it just shows his fall, like getting into alcoholism and kind of just becoming this person that nobody wants to be around, versus at the beginning everyone wanted to be around. That's not really a spoiler. That's just to the point what this book is about. I think F. Scott Fitzgerald is incredible. I gave this book 4 stars. I do think there were some major lulls in this, and I don't want to say it was mainly because I had a reading slump. I know that has a lot to do with it, but I do think there were some lulls in the story, and I think that also mainly has to do with like time. I mean, it's almost been 90 or almost 100 years since this book was written, and obviously so much has changed in the literary world of just how stories are structured and how the pacing is, regardless of what genre it is, whether it be like YA or new adult or adult. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just progressed since then. But I did really like this, and I do kind of see myself rereading it in a couple of years because it is just so intriguing. And I love F. Scott Fitzgerald. I think his writing is incredible. And I really think I just talked about that book for 4 minutes straight, so I'm sorry. Okay, and the last thing I read in the month of November was Saga Volume 3. I loved this so freaking much. So I don't know if you've watched my last couple of wrap-ups, but I think it was like August I read Volume 1. And then October I read Volume 2, November I read Volume 3. I actually when I bought Volume 3, I was in Barnes & Noble's like maybe like a month ago. And it was like, buy 2 comics, get the 3rd free. And I honestly could barely even afford 1 comic, like truly, but I shouldn't have been buying more. But I was like, how can I pass up this offer? Because they're like $15. And I was like, I get a free $15 thing. So I bought 3, 4, and 5. So now I have to read 4 and 5. But if you don't know anything about the Saga comic book / graphic novel, whatever it's considered, because I don't know. It is about these 2 people. This is so funny, but this is the back. This is not like an actual scene, but like the premise of the story is kind of like relates heavily to a romance novel. So it's like this funny little like romance novel picture kind of thing. But it is about these 2 people from warring planets. And he's a prisoner of their planet, and she's a guard, and she ends up falling in love with him and then helping him escape, and then they get pregnant. And then all these different people are after them and after to kill their baby because they think it's just going to these planets are at war. They're not supposed to be getting close with one another, let alone falling in love and having a baby. One of the things I love about this story is it is about like this family, and how often do you read books or, you know, comic books or even TV shows these days or movies that are about like a young family with a young baby? I just think that's so cool, like so intriguing, it's unique. The story is so brilliant. The first one I really liked, but I only gave it 4 stars because I just didn't connect with it as much as I wanted to. But 2 and 3 I connected with so well. 5 out of 5 stars. I can't wait to get on to the next one. I gotta read 4, and I think I'm gonna love it just as much as the last 2 that I read. So yeah, I think it was like a decent month. It definitely wasn't like the best month when it came to like statistics, but when it came to like books, I loved this month because of Ruthless Gods and also Queen of Nothing. I just connected so well with those books. They were 5-star reads. I loved them with all of my heart, and of course I loved Saga, so yeah. Okay guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and if we have any similar thoughts on these books, or if you have opposing thoughts, or if you haven't read these books and you want to, or whatever you have to say, let me know down in the comments below. I respond always, so just definitely hit me with a comment and I will get back to you. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, and check out my social medias at Kendra Cus, like I was saying earlier, or Kendra Cus Reads, my bookstagram. And yeah, that is going to be it for today's video. I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a great morning, noon, evening, day, night, whenever it happens to be that you're watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.